People look at the AI build-out and think the whole thing is insane. They see Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta pouring tens of billions into data centers, GPU farms, and sovereign cloud regions. And they ask the same question every time. Who is going to pay for all of this? Consumers? Enterprises? Nobody even wants to pay for AI. I can get it for free. But that question only makes sense if you assume the end game is consumers. It isn't. The hyperscalers aren't building this infrastructure for people playing with chatbots. They're building it for institutions, governments, and giant conglomerates. The only entities on Earth with problems big enough, budgets large enough, and inefficiencies costly enough to justify this scale of investment. Once you shift the frame from consumer product to state capacity infrastructure, the economics flip. Suddenly, the build-out doesn't look irrational. It looks like the most brutal, inevitable MBA BS you've ever seen. Governments can't opt out of complexity. They can't decide to stop collecting taxes, or stop running hospitals, or stop processing benefits, or stop defending their borders. They can't ignore fraud, corruption, or administrative overload. Every year, the machinery of the state gets heavier, more data intensive, more interconnected, and more vulnerable. And every year, the workforce that's supposed to run it gets smaller, older, and more overwhelmed. AI is the first technology that scales faster than the problems governments face. It can process filings, detect anomalies, triage cases, analyze threats, optimize infrastructure, and enforce rules with a consistency no human bureaucracy can match. Even if citizens are skeptical, governments will still adopt AI because the alternative is institutional decay. And the incentives are enormous. In a country like India, corruption alone quietly drains between 2 and 5% of GDP every year. That's 70 to nearly $200 billion lost annually, not through spectacular scandals, but through the daily friction of permits, procurement, and bureaucratic discretion. If AI can reduce that leakage by even a fraction, it pays for entire national AI programs, not over decades, immediately. The same logic applies to labor. Governments don't need AI to replace everyone. They just need it to stop the endless expansion of administrative headcount. If AI lets a government freeze hiring instead of adding tens of thousands of new clerks every year, the savings compound. And unlike humans, AI doesn't retire, doesn't take sick leave, doesn't require pensions. This is why governments are the ultimate inelastic buyers. They don't get to say no. They only get to choose when they plug in. And the hyperscalers know it. That's why they're building sovereign cloud regions in Europe, AI supercomputing campuses in Asia, and government-only compute clusters around the world. When a U.S. company builds AI infrastructure inside another country, that government becomes an anchor tenant. Once the state is on board, the banks, telcos, energy companies, and conglomerates follow. The infrastructure becomes the default, and the relationship lasts decades. This is how the hyperscalers expect to make their money back, not by selling subscriptions to consumers, but by becoming the utility providers of the AI century, the digital equivalent of power grids and telecom networks. And the corporate world mirrors the same logic. large companies lose 1 to 3% of revenue every year to shrink. Theft, fraud, waste, inventory loss, compliance failures. For many firms, shrink can be larger than net profit. If AI reduces shrink by even 0.5%, it justifies entire AI teams, dedicated compute clusters, and long-term contracts. The recovered value is bigger than the cost. So when people look at the AI build-out and ask whether it will ever pay for itself, they're asking the wrong question. The hyperscalers aren't building this for people who don't want to pay for AI. They're building it for institutions where even tiny efficiency gains are worth billions. If AI helps a country collect a little more tax, cut a little corruption, and run a smaller, faster bureaucracy, it doesn't just pay for itself. It becomes a net revenue engine. And once governments realize that, the question won't be who wants AI, it'll be how fast can we plug the entire state into it. But hey, I'm just a meat tuber with a degree in ruining things, so that's all the time I've got. But if you'd like me to explain in detail, let me know in the comments.